Everyone online, I want them to see this. This is the truth that sets us free. That's what we're here for today. Yeah. Okay, you glad about that? Me too. And we say that because we've heard Jesus say that. So I'm just curious. Actually, Parker, I'm going to ask you to turn the house lights way up. Ooh. You'll be on the spotlight today. Who here is free? Raise your hand. Okay. Claire, there's a few of you. Okay. So those of you who raised your hand and said, yes, I am free, would you be willing to answer the next question? Okay. What are you free from? What are you free from? Raise your hand, and Liz is going to come up here and talk to Kim Char first, and then we'll come up. Okay, start with Sharon. You're right over there. What are you free from, Sharon?
All earthly attachments.
All earthly attachments. Is that true? Yes. Good for you. Hallelujah. That's awesome. Come on over. What are you free from, Kim Char?
I'm free in certain moments when I choose from my own crazy thoughts.
You're free from crazy thoughts in certain moments when you
I choose differently.
Yeah, good.
I'm free from those.
Yes, thank you. Who else? You guys raise your hands. Okay, Mary Beth is up for the game. Mary Beth, what are you free from?
I am free from thinking that I'm a victim of circumstances and that I am cause to my experience is my freedom.
Wow, nice. Anybody else want to offer what you're free from? Thank you, Jack. Jack, just in from Wisconsin. Give him a hand. Okay, Rose came with them. Yay for Rose. I saw that face.
So I am partially free.
You are partially free, okay.
And I'm partially free from some of the fears that I used to carry around.
Okay,
with me.
that's good. Well, that's what we're
Work
free
in progress.
from. Good deal. I like that idea. Anybody else want to tell us what you're free from?
Yes, it took a long time, but I am free from other people's judgments of me.
Yes. So, what does it mean to be free? We know what we're free from. How would you explain being free? How does it feel? How do you live when you're free? How would you define free? There's a feeling of expansiveness. Jack? A feeling of lightness and being alive. Yeah. Any other way you describe being free? I'm sure she's full of it today.
Paradoxically, it's feeling connected, more connected.
Yeah, right. You stole Rose's. Okay, feeling connected. And Mary Beth wants to go again.
Responsible.
And sometimes that's the good news and sometimes that's the other news.
Yeah, I get that. Feeling free. If you found another emotion beside, I kind of think free is an emotion. Can we go with that? Okay, so if you could choose another emotion that was similar to that would also represent freedom, what might it be? When you say, I am free, Val, what do you got going on? We'll come to Rose next. Say it out loud to the mic.
Peace.
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 And behind you?
Filled with joy.
Filled with joy. That's a good way to feel, yes. Okay, Rose has got hers. Did somebody steal it?
She stole it.
Rose.
And we're from Michigan, not Wisconsin.
Oh, my bad. I am so sorry. Once you get up past the Illinois border, it's all the same to me. So sorry.
No
I am
worries.
so sorry.
There's only love.
There's only love.
That's right. Peace of mind.
Peace of mind, yeah. Anyone else? What freedom feels like? How about if you just put your hand on your heart? Oh, here's one, Melinda. Put your hand on your heart and feel free for a minute. Melinda, what are you feeling?
And just breathe.
Breathe. Yeah, that gets you freedom, doesn't it? If you're watching online, now's a good chance to put it in the Facebook chat for us so we can see what you're feeling. Thank you. Thank you, Liz. Thank you, everybody. Okay, Parker, you can have your lights back down. So, our theme today is the truth sets us free. It's something that we heard Jesus teach. You shall know the truth, and it will set you free. And when we look at a conversation that he had with Pilate just before they crucified him. And, people had said that Jesus is pretending to be a king, and it turns out that's not what he was about. He said, this is from John 18, verse 37. I was born and came into the world for this reason, to testify to the truth. What is truth? Pilate retorted, and then he walked away. What is truth? If he had really been open in his consciousness, I think he would have noticed that the person standing in front of him was truth. That Jesus' life was a demonstration of truth, that he had been testifying the whole time. He was a living demonstration of it. He taught us earlier in the book of John, chapter 14, I am the way and the truth and the life, and no one comes to the Father except through me. Now, we're never separate from the Father, God, source, creator. We just come to that presence in consciousness when we are holding that same level of thinking and knowing as Jesus did. Jesus demonstrated that truth. And I have to say, there's a huge debate in the world. There's always a debate in the world. Today we're going to talk about the debate about truth and what truth really is and what it's based in. George Barna, anybody heard of him? He's big on taking surveys, especially in the spiritual dimension. Okay, not the spiritual dimension, but in the religious world, let's put it that way. Cultural Research Center. And he did a survey on what people thought was the basis for truth. So up here on the screen is the results of that survey, teeny tiny print, so I'm just going to kind of summarize it for you. That 4 out of 10 people that answered the survey said that God is the basis for truth. In other words, whatever God is, that's truth. Or whatever, we could determine that. We could debate that one, so we'll just set that aside for a minute. 4 out of 10 said that. The other 4 out of 10 were a conglomeration of this. Inner certainty determines truth, or scientific proof determines truth, or tradition determines truth, or public consensus determines truth. How are we doing so far? And then the last 2 out of 10 said that there's either no such thing as truth, or they don't know what the basis of truth is. And Unity speaks of truth regularly because we speak of God as truth. So we're in that 4 out of 10 that would say God is the basis of truth. And the older I get and the more generations that come in underneath me, the more we have saying there is no such thing as truth, or it's all relative truth. But when we speak of truth as God and God as truth in unity, we speak of that which is eternal, unchanging, and we would say absolute. Absolute. Absolute means it's not dependent on anything for its existence. So if I were to describe this up here on the screen, here's one of the ways that unity describes it. That which is unconditioned, unlimited, unrestricted, and free from all limitations, the self-existent God. You and I are not self-existent. These bodies actually would depend on not only a lot of things in the physical world, like oxygen and water, but we would also say that we are dependent upon the Creator. We would not be here. This universe would not be here if there were not something absolute that is expressing itself as this. Have you thought of that? That's one way to look at what truth is. That truth is everywhere present. It permeates our being. We have access to the truth because one of the ways we describe truth is the mind of God, or the Christ consciousness, which is also in us. So again, we have the opportunity to know truth. That's why Jesus said it. He wouldn't tell us to do something that we couldn't do. And what has this got to do with Easter, for heaven's sakes? Let's talk a little bit about Jesus. Easter is about the life, the death, the resurrection of Jesus from some people's perspective. And, of course, there are many interpretations of why he came. But let's go back to that statement that he made. I came not to talk about my life and death and resurrection. I came to testify to the truth. And the truth shall set you free. So those are two words that we want to know more about, I would think. What is truth, and how does it set me free? In Jesus' life, his life was a testament to truth. I would say probably the most ultimate demonstration of truth was that he proved that we cannot die. In his resurrection, he proved that death has no power over us. But let's take a look at his whole life. If his life, the whole reason he came, was to testify to truth, then I'm interested in what kind of life he led. And we hear stories, so this is, up to you whether you believe this or not. Personally, let me start by saying this for myself. I don't really need to know whether these things happened in his life or not. I just need to know for myself whether I think those things could happen. And I do think those things could happen. So what are those things? Well, in the consciousness of Jesus, now living from the Christ consciousness, that's how we give him his name, Jesus Christ, because he's awoken to the Christ mind or the God mind in him. In that consciousness, people in his presence went from being sick to well. People in his presence went from being lame to be able to walk, from being blind to being able to see. People in his presence were forgiven. Not a usual thing. Mostly they were stoned to death, but in his presence they were forgiven. In his presence, he showed love to the unlovable. In his presence, he was turning water into wine and walking on water and calming the storm with a word, proving in his consciousness that matter has no power, that matter is not absolute, that matter is simply relative. And when you know what absolute is, and you know what matter is made of, which we would say in unity is the substance, the energy, the omnipresence of God, that is how we know that it can be overridden. We can use it to manifest things that are not natural to our eyes. Jesus would elevate the poor instead of holding them down. He would actually elevate children into a higher stature than adults. From his perspective. From Christ consciousness, he was about serving his servants and giving and loving. He was about raising the dead, proving that death has no power over us. That's pretty amazing stuff. And for most of us, we've never seen that, and we have a hard time believing that for him or for us. But he said that his life was here to testify what truth was, that we are more than physical, we are more than human, we are eternal in nature. Now, this truth might take a while to sink into our consciousness until we do it regularly, till we focus on it, because we've lived a lifetime of what we see with our eyes is true, what I can touch is true. I've used my body to tell me what is true, what its limits are. And weights and measures, you get on a scale, that's true. We've used our prognosis and our medication as the only truth when it comes to bringing life to the body. We've probably used everything we've learned in school as truth. Maybe you're one of those who actually believes those in power have truth, or those with money have truth. Maybe we've used our past experiences as truth, or experiments that we do and the results of that must be true. Think about the things that you give power to, that's what you say is true. And how's that working for you? Are you free yet? Remember that freedom we talked about earlier? Are you feeling that, making those things true in your life? So if we're still in bondage, then it's about a life that says I'm a victim. We're using our name, our true name, which is I am, and we're attaching onto it that which in spirit we are not. But our words and our beliefs have power. So as long as we keep holding in consciousness, I am powerless, I am helpless, I am too old, I am unworthy, I am unloved, I am confused, I am exhausted. These are the kinds of words that we make true for us because we have that power. That's the power in our name, I am. Why is that our name? Because the presence of God is the source of our being. It's the nature of our true being in us. So how many times do you use that word I am? Those words I am worried, I am tired, I am cranky, I'm irritated, I give up. Are you free yet? Maybe it's not the truth. Maybe we should go back to Jesus' life again and take a look at what he did, what he said, what he taught, and think again. When we look at the things he did, the messages behind him were, there is enough. That this earth, this matter, this material world has no power over me. I am loved. I am wise. He proved this over and over again, that life was about being free to give and to serve. I mean, his life was constantly demonstrating life. I am light, he said. You are light. I am the Christ expressing. It's not me, the human, doing this work. It's the God within me. I am spirit. I am free. Those are the kinds of words and thoughts that set us free. How often do we say them? How often do we make them part of our truth? Because that's the truth that has the key to setting us free, which is a life without fear or resistance or judgment for ourselves or others. That's the kind of life we want to live. To me, that's what Easter is about, is looking at his life that demonstrated we are more than matter. We are more than human ego. And that with Jesus' life and demonstration and exit and resurrection, he told us, hey, guess what? You're going to do the same thing. Up here on the screen from John 14. Very truly, I tell you, the one who believes in me will also do the works that I do, and in fact will do greater works than these because I'm going to the Father. When Jesus left the earth in spirit, where he wasn't being seen any longer, even as spirit, he just became everywhere present for us. And the Christ consciousness that he had developed is now available to all of us to inform our being. And Charles Fillmore, our co-founder of Unity, said that every time we rise to the realization of eternal, indwelling life, making union with divine mind, the resurrection of Jesus takes place in us. That place where Jesus went to prepare for us is a state of consciousness right here in our midst. And we can at any time connect ourselves with it by centering our minds upon Jesus and silently asking his help in our demonstrations. We don't talk about that very much here, do we? Yet we see him as our way shower. I would say, you might think, he's too busy for me. Think of all the millions and billions of people who see him as their way shower and are calling out to him, how can he have time for me? It's not he, the man, that was here on earth. It's the Christ consciousness that's everywhere present and within us, always present and available to us. So you might just, once again, take a gulp and say, I don't know how to be that. I don't know how to be something that I can't see with my eyes. It's hard for me to believe that type of life. And that's why Jesus tried to drill into us, don't judge by appearance. Judge with right judgment, which is an awakening to what is real. How many of you have ever held an acorn in your hand? Think of that now. When you look at that little acorn, is there any sign in that acorn of a giant oak tree? Does it look anything like a giant oak tree? Not at all. Not at all. But within it is a divine blueprint for a giant oak tree. There's a divine intelligence within it. And when it has the right moisture and heat and nourishment, those are the conditions that sets the acorn free, and it begins to sprout and put forth roots and grow into that mighty tree. Because there's that intelligence within it. You are exactly the same way. You have that divine pattern within you. to be the fullness of the Christ expressing. It just needs the right conditions to be met. And that the problem is, in most of us, those conditions are static. The power cannot be released in us until we hold those conditions in consciousness and that truth and set them free. So I just recently watched this movie called Boys Town. It's in black and white. Anybody seen that movie? Okay, they have a little colorized version I'm going to show you here in a second. But Boys Town is a movie about a real person. His name is Father Flanagan. And in this scene I'm going to show you, Father Flanagan has been comforting an inmate in prison who is about to be executed. And I think he said it's like 45 minutes until eternity begins. So the prisoner had decided to confess to his crime, and he wanted the state to hear it, and he wanted the newspapers to hear it. So he had called for them to come into his cell, and Father Flanagan was there too. And he began to tell his story. And at one point, I want to share what he said with you. Pay attention and see where you think the truth could have set him free. Let's take a listen.
Where was the state when a lonely, starving kid cried himself to sleep in a flop house with a bunch of drunks, tramps, and hobos? Is that when this debt started? The only pals I had a chance at were the kids in the alley. I had to be tough to string along. Just before we got out of the state's arms, the reformatory, we made up a gang. 6 of us, and pals. We bet our lives across the board and let them ride. Crooks! Sure! Your mouths pop open at that one. Greek to you wise guys, ain't it? One of them turned rat for state's evidence and I killed him. But get this. One friend when I'm 12 years old and I don't stand here like this. Now go on, get out of here, you bunch of mush-brained saps. Get out! Get out! Listen, Father. I am sorry for my mistakes. I am sorry.
Oh, let's watch it again. It was so uplifting. So, what did you hear him say that felt like that could be a moment where he could have known truth? Jack, what did you hear him say? I'm really sorry for my mistakes. What else? What else did he say that said, wow, there's a good time truth could have shown up in his life? Yeah, when he was 12. If he just had one friend, pardon me? One friend when he was 12 years old, he wouldn't have grown up to be this person if he just had one friend to tell him the truth. And Father Flanagan left that prison and went home and started Boys Town so that other people like him at the age of 12 could hear the truth, could be uplifted, could have their lives changed, could go out and live productive, healthy lives, expressions of their divine potential. He said, there are no bad boys. There's only bad environment, bad training, bad example, bad thinking. There's nothing the matter with our growing boys that love, proper training, and guidance will not remedy. He saw their divine potential, and he told them the truth of who they were. That set them free, telling them the truth. Our freedom begins within us. Sometimes we can't see it for ourselves. Sometimes we need other people to stand in the truth for us and call that out and help that resurrection to take place. But to remind us that we are more than human, we are eternal beings. And that part of ourself is perfect and whole. Now, I get it. We've spent a lifetime believing I'm only human. So this is going to take some renewal of the mind. I love that you're sitting here. I love that you're listening online. Because somehow you got that desire to renew your mind, to think again about who you are. And that's good. Keep that up. And there's a few other things that we want to do too. we also want to make sure that we spend time in the silence with spirit, with that consciousness. Teaching our mind, our ego's brain, to just quiet down and listen, to think upon the presence of God within us as perfect and whole, as loving and wise, to be conscious and aware of that presence within us. Be still and know that I am God. Make that time. And then also think on divine ideas. Most of us spend our time in the silence, or just as we're drifting off to sleep, or the first thing when we wake up in the morning, or when we're sitting down with a friend talking about what doesn't work for us, fearing what we have to face in life, or feeling hopeless about what we have to face in life. Think on divine ideas. Kim Char sings a song. It comes from the book of Philippians 4:8. Let's say this together. Whatever is true, honorable, just, whatever is pure, pleasing, commendable, if there's any excellence and worthy of praise, think about these things. Why? Because our thoughts create our reality. What we think and feel and believe becomes an expression. Even if it's not based on truth, even if our words are based on that which is what we call error consciousness. So we're thinking on ideas of truth and letting words come out of our mouth of truth. That Jesus reminded us from Matthew 12, by your words you will be justified. By your words you will be condemned. And guess what? You get to choose what those words are. That is up to you. That's why we use affirmations. In order to change our thoughts. Our life is created by those words, by those feelings. And it really ultimately comes down to putting these words and thoughts into action. Putting them into action. It's that Nike slogan. It's our fifth principle in unity. It doesn't do us any good just to know the truth. We also have to act on the truth in order for it to set us free. So we put our words into action. It does us no good to speak words of health and renewal for the body and then pick up the phone and call everyone you know and tell them how bad you feel. It doesn't do us any good to speak of God's infinite supply and then hoard onto everything we have to protect it and make sure nobody takes it away from us. And it doesn't do us any good to know that we are loved, to speak words of love to ourselves and then turn around and gossip or judge someone else. We're contradicting. And that energy of life can no longer be expressed in us. So we're talking about being still, thinking on ideas of truth, meditating on those ideas, speaking words of truth, acting on words of truth. Jesus said, I have come to testify to the truth, and the truth will set us free. This world that we're living in has no power over us. There is no death for who we are. What do we do with that? That's a pretty big thing to do something with, to know that we're eternal. What use does that have for us to know that? Well, we can either give power to that failed project and just be in misery about it, or we can give power to the truth and allow God's strength to renew who we are and what that project was all about. We can give power to the diagnosis as the only way out, or it's our sentence for life or death, or we can give power to the presence of divine life that's always within us, that lifts us up. Give power to your layoff, your pink slip, and wonder where your next meal is going to come from in misery, or you can give power to your creative imagination. That's a truth that will set you free. Think about what it is that you want to be and how you want to live. You can give power to your old age, to let it rob you of your final years of vitality and joy, or give power to that spirit of enthusiasm within you that wants to get up in the morning, that wants to try new things no matter your age. You can give power to that marriage that is failing, to be depressed about it or angry over it, or you can give power to love, to the truth that harmonizes relationships, that sees the good in one another, that knows how to forgive. You can basically just tear your hair out over your kids, letting them frustrate you day in and day out, or you can give power to the clear understanding of the Christ mind in you, of what it is they need, what it is that they're calling for. Maybe you have aging parents, and they're draining your energy, and you're feeling lost and helpless in how to care for them. You can give power to that, or you can let the truth of who they really are and who you really are bring peace that passes understanding. This is our choice, to look and understand what the truth is and allow it to begin to express in our life. Because every crucifixion we go through, not literally, but every challenge we go through, offers a resurrection of your spirit. The question is, will you be open and receptive to it, or will you run? Last thing from Jesus I want to share today. What should I say? Father, save me from this hour. This is just before he was about to die. No, it's for this reason that I have come to this hour. Father, glorify your name. Reveal your divine potential in me. Show that there is no death in me or any of us. I promise, when you lay your body down, you will rise again. And if you haven't learned it yet, you will know that truth, and it will set you free beyond any kind of limitation. So, I am an eternal being is a good statement to hold in consciousness as truth for you, and let that inform what you do and what you say and who you are. I'm an eternal being. This world cannot hold me back. With God, all things are possible. I'm going to take some time in meditation today to do something a little bit different. Since it's Easter, and we've been talking a lot about Jesus, something that Myrtle especially used to do when she went into meditation, she'd go get another chair, and she'd bring it up and set it next to hers. And she would invite Jesus to come sit in it. So we're going to do that during our meditation. Jesus, come on in. And let's just close our eyes and imagine that presence, that life-giving presence, that, oh my goodness, wow. Love. Jesus Christ is now here, raising us to his consciousness of unfailing faith. We dwell on that quality of faith, that ability to see past the physical into the invisible realm that is only love and light, purity and wholeness. Jesus Christ is now here, raising us to his consciousness of sustaining strength. When all seems lost, there is strength within us to move forward, to choose again. Jesus Christ is now here, raising us to his consciousness of divine wisdom. That we may know the truth and be the truth. Jesus Christ is now here, raising us to his consciousness of infinite love. To see only the good in all humans on this planet, to accept them as they are, to allow ourselves to be our own truth. We are loved, and we are love. Jesus Christ is now here, raising us to his consciousness of creative imagination. Divine ideas flow freely into our awareness, beyond what we have learned. Divine imagination shows us new ways to prosper and live in freedom. Jesus Christ is now here, raising us to his consciousness of clear understanding. To see beyond the circumstances and the behaviors. To understand motives. To understand beliefs. To offer compassion. Jesus Christ is now here, raising us to his consciousness of everlasting life. This journey here on earth is just a blink in all that we are here to do. As unique expressions of the divine, we are still all one. We are still eternal. And the joy of life and creativity and evolution never ends. We allow that understanding to put things in perspective. We allow that truth to set us free. This is the truth of our being. I am free. Hold that in your heart for a moment. I am free. If you're willing, say it aloud with me. I am free. One more time. I am free. Nothing and no one can take that from us. So it is, and now we let it be. Amen.